Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Welcome back to another Wednesday, which means another episode of the head-to-head battle, the cage match. Today, I'm bringing an old friend of mine from the daily fantasy space, Jeff Collins, aka Jeff El Jefe from numberball.com. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Two-time big-time winner. The dude has stacked commas on commas over his time in the daily fantasy industry, and he is a great competitor, a great player, great content. I am excited to get him onto the show today. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. We do this draft a little bit differently. If you play head-to-heads on Draftkings, you're probably going to have some overlap in the lineups that you build against the people that you play. You're not going to have very many unique spots, but in this, we're going to snake draft, and it's a modified snake draft. Chill out. Don't fact check me. It's a schoolyard basketball draft. Fine. So one of us is going to get first. Another one's going to get second and two. Then we're going to pick one the rest of the way, but we cannot have any overlap. We will use the salaries on DraftKings for this. We are going to compete against each other, but it's going to be for charity, and 100% of the ad revenue on this video will also go to charity. We're well over $7,000 into our season-long fundraiser for No Kid Hungry. We're trying to raise $25,000 as a community. You guys have been absolutely ridiculous so far and very giving, so thank you very much for that. Please drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure that you ring that notifications bell, leave me a reply with who you think is going to win this head-to-head battle. Because it's time.
He's a legend.
Hey Jeff, how's it going, man? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here.
Hey man, excited to do this. It's been a long time since we've done a show together. I think we figured out it's been what, 7-8 years, something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a really, really long time, which is a shame because, you know, like we get busy. That's the problem, is that everybody's like hustling to do the content that they have to do, and it makes things really difficult to either listen to everybody or read everybody else's content or even work together. So like I really like this Wednesday show because I get to bring on some old friends and people that I really respect in the industry and let them kind of do stuff. And we get to raise some money for charities and bring more awareness to them. So there will be a link to Jeff's charity down below. Jeff is going to be playing for Raising for Effective Giving. It is a poker and daily fantasy based charity group based on some big time guys, and they will match donations at the end of the year. You can pick whichever ones that you want. You're going to maximize the impact of your donation because they will be matched by some of the guys behind it. They have many charities that you can give to and many causes. I will be playing as always for No Kid Hungry. There will be a link in the description. Just click show more. There's a link to the listener league down there. There's a listener link to both, or a link to both charities, all of my socials, everything. So go check all of that out before you do anything else. Jeff, why don't you tell everybody where to follow you on socials and where to find your work?
Well, yeah, on socials at Jeff K. Collins. I'm mostly on Twitter. If you want to follow me on Instagram, go for it. There's not much happening there. I might post some nerdy screenshots of like graphs and charts that I've made, but not super exciting over there. Used to mess around with Snapchat a little bit. I know you mess around with the TikTok, but I haven't been in those streets yet. So Twitter, it's just me kind of tweeting about NFTs and DFS these days.
There's worse things to be tweeting about than NFTs and DFS these days. And yes, I do dabble in the TikTok streets. But here's the thing. If you refer to it as the TikTok, you might be too old to use TikTok.
Oh no.
You refer to it as the TikTok. Why don't you send me something on the email and I'll check the Facebook.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I'm getting a little bit older.
We're up there,
so.
man. We're ancient in terms of NFTs and daily fantasy at this point. We try to do what we can. So you have said that we are going to be, you're going to want the second and two. How much are we playing for today? Loser donates to the winner's charity. What are we playing for?
Let's do 500.
$500 on target. Love it. So I have the first pick. Don't know where I'm going to go with this. I kind of do. If I have the first pick, I always try to grab a value play off the board. So with the Cowboys running as much 3 wide as they do and throwing the ball as much as they do and being the fantasy carnival that they are pretty much every single week that Dak is under center, said Wilson should not be 3,100. Stepping into the Michael Gallup role, they're going to move him inside, they're going to move him outside. Do I need him to score 25 fantasy points this week? Hell no. But he has a path, especially in a lineup like this, where we're playing kind of a head-to-head cash game lineup that's modified because we can't have any overlap. He's not like a screaming value like the min salary rookie wide receivers from last week, but he is still a screaming value here at 3,100, at least to me, that's going to allow me some flexibility to open things up after you get your 2nd and 2. So I'm starting with said Wilson. Where do you want to go?
I think he's going to be somewhat chalky this week, right?
Yeah, he should be.
Yeah, I think, let's see. Running back so deep, so I feel like I'm going to be pretty comfortable there and not have to worry about too much. But sounds like you are interested in that Dallas and Charger game, so I think I'm going to snag Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is just the go-to guy for Justin Herbert. We're going to be expecting this game to be maybe the highest scoring. That whole afternoon set of games looks like it's going to be a lot of backloaded lineups, right? There's going to be a lot of player minutes remaining, or whatever your site uses to calculate what's behind you. It's just going to be really tough to fade, and Keenan Allen's going to be one of those guys that you're trying to fade. 7K for him, I think, is fairly reasonable. Of course, it's going to be one of the more expensive guys in your lineup, but roster construction this week is going to be more favored towards spending up at wide receiver, I would say. We'll see what you think with your lineup, but I feel good about using Keenan Allen.
Okay, you got one more coming your way.
So then I'll go with a value guy like you did, but I'm going to go with KJ Hamler. Similar thinking as you. We've got Jerry Jeudy on IR, and KJ Hamler is this guy that I've been saying is, the best comp for him, even though he's not this good, is Tyreek Hill. He's just a guy who's super fast, who can run deep, and he can also run under and then go after the catch, of course. It's just that he's been banged up by injuries. And if you give him opportunity, I think he's going to do really well, especially with the improved quarterback play, thankfully, with Drew Lock on the bench. So I think that KJ Hamler at 3,800, I don't even know how popular he's going to be, because I imagine they're going to have Tim Patrick start ahead of him, play more snaps. But I think he's a really high upside play, and I don't mind him in this format head-to-head with you.
So the thing about Hamler is he can get it done for you in one play. Freakish athlete, great downfield guy. I said last year, KJ Hamler is going to win somebody a GPP. I just don't know which week it's going to be, because he's going to catch an 80-yard touchdown and then maybe a 25-yard touchdown and just break things on like 5 targets. So he's one of the rare players in the league who on limited targets can get things done. But now that he's more in the rotation, maybe the wide receiver 3 there, as you alluded to, with Tim Patrick stepping into the Jeudy role, Sutton being the other outside guy, now bringing in Hamler, gives them a dynamic that, coupled with Fant, it's a lot, right? So like they can do some things, and you have a tremendous matchup against Jacksonville as well. So you started there. As you mentioned, running back is somewhat deep, so I'm going to stay at a different position, and I'm going to take DK Metcalf. I had said Wilson here. Let me get DK Metcalf over here. Trying to manage 2 lineups can be tough. Going up against Tennessee, who we saw get absolutely shredded last week, and Lockett went off last week as well. Metcalf only had 5 targets. I think that DK Metcalf is a place where we can pay up. I think that there's plenty of value left on the board, and I like the different places that I can go. Metcalf gives me an opportunity to get access to a really, one of the 3 highest totaled games on the slate, and much like Hamler, somebody who can get it done for you on one play, but projects to get more volume, but obviously is going to be much higher priced for that reason, double the price, in fact, of KJ Hamler. But he's a core play for me this week. Love DK Metcalf. Love that Tennessee-Seattle game for stacking. Love the Dallas Chargers game for stacking. There's 3-4 games that I think are great to stack and bring back, or secondary stack if you're playing in tournaments, off of your primary stack. So I'm going to start with those 2 and be okay with it, and I'm going to send it back to you.
How good are you at choosing between Metcalf and Lockett week to week?
I just pick Metcalf every week. and I use Lockett in my double stacks.
I think
Like
that's
Metcalf is like the main guy that I go with. Like if I'm going with the secondary stack, it's usually going to be Metcalf and somebody from the other team. If I'm going with a Wilson stack, I'll just play both of them and say, okay, I don't care. I just need like 45 points from the two of them.
That's basically how I play it. That's how I played it last week, and unfortunately, having Metcalf instead of Lockett, I had no chance against the other Russ teams.
Metcalf is like, it's weird, but Metcalf should be the spikier guy, and Lockett should be the more consistent guy based on their profiles before last season. But then it's the other way. It's like it's the quote from The Wire. You want it to be one way, but it's the other way.
Yeah, but Metcalf's one of my favorite guys to use every week. So good pick there.
Thank you.
I think Najee Harris is going to be popular this week, but for good reason. Like he got all the usage that everyone expected him to get, and it's tough because heading into the regular season, you don't know which coaches are telling the truth, which coaches are trying to hype up their rookies and give them confidence. And like we saw with Najee Harris just get all the running back carries, and he's involved in the pass game a little bit. He'll be more involved than he was last week, I think. In the pass game, everyone raves about how good of a pass catcher he is. So in this environment here where you expect the Steelers have a better chance of winning, a solid chance of winning at home here against the Raiders on a short week, I think that 6,300 for Najee Harris, he's got to be one of the more popular running backs this week.
I don't disagree with you. Again, Christian McCaffrey type workload. Not since Christian McCaffrey 2 seasons ago have we seen a running back get like 98+% of the snaps and the touches for a team. Now, I think I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say that Najee Harris is not going to get 100% of the snaps at running back 18 weeks or 17 games this year. It's not going to happen. But like if he's above 90, that's a rarefied air in today's NFL. So you have this really high floor of snaps, touches, inside the 5 carries. They are home and favored, which is based on back testing, is something that is extremely positive for running backs to perform above their projected expectation. Love Najee Harris this week. I think there's a lot of running backs. He is clearly one of the top running backs on the week when you include salary. So this is a head-to-head game, but I'm going to go ahead and be your Huckleberry, and I'm going to take one of my favorite players in the league right now, based on my drafting during preseason and best ball drafts. Played him in week 1 a ton. Loved him in showdown in that first game. Did not disappoint. And the absence of Gallup is just going to add to the amount of predictable volume that is headed his way. 15 ridiculous targets in week 1. Only 9 of them were catchable. So 6 totally off targets should not have caught the ball. So caught 7 of his 9 targets being utilized outside more, caught a lot of downfield looks, and also some end zone and red zone looks as well. CeeDee Lamb's rocket ship is going to absolutely take off this season. And at 6,400, please, I'm going to take him. He's where I'm going with this pick. And I don't care that this lineup may end up with a little bit more of a tournament feel to it based on the way that it looks like I'm starting to build it. But Wilson's value is too good. DK Metcalf's floor and ceiling is too good. And CeeDee Lamb is the same situation. So I'm going 0 RB apparently to start here with 3 wide receivers. And Jeff, I'm going to kick it back to you.
Okay, so the next guy I want to use is, I probably can wait on him. I don't think that you probably have much interest in him, and that I'm not sure he's going to be popular, but Damian Harris with Sony Michel gone. He's 23 carries last week, 100 yards. And he's going to get all the carries with Michel gone. Like White will be in there. It'll be deceptive when you look at the snap counts, but because White will be in there for like passing situations and stuff. But Harris will also catch a couple passes too. They're just I think they want to give him the ball again. You see a theme here with my running backs, just as much as possible. Just a lot of opportunity, especially in these head-to-heads, is what I'm looking for. That raises your floor a little bit, lowers the range of outcomes a little bit, so that we can expect more consistency. And when you're also getting value with that, that's important. That's something that gets overlooked, as people choose floor over value. But when you can get both, that's the way to go. And I think building around those two running backs, it's a solid cash game start.
I think that's a good start. However, he did lose a fumble last week, so he's probably going to be benched for the next 2 weeks. Unexplained why. They're not going to tell you he's just not going to play at all this weekend. So that kind of sucks for you, that he's just never going to play because he's going to be in the doghouse because he lost a fumble last week. So 0 carries incoming for Damien. I'm kidding. It's definitely not going to happen. He's a stud. Moving on for me, you just took 2 running backs. I don't have to take one, but you do have a flex and you can. Guys, somebody who is apparently no longer used in the passing game is where I'm going to go. Speaking of floor, I think that he has nowhere to go but up in terms of his target expectation on a week in, week out basis. He is playing the fantasy carnival, Austin Eckler, 7,300. I know that I can fit him in this lineup because of the value that I took early. I have an idea of where I'm going with the rest of this lineup now, unless you kind of take 1 or 2 guys, but I have pivots, so we'll be all right. Austin Eckler getting the goal line work, 2 inside the 5 carries in week 1 was the one last missing piece to the puzzle for Eckler the last couple of seasons, when they would bring in Jackson, they would bring in flipping Kalen Ballage to run the ball inside the 5. Well, this week, the new coaching staff, the new regime showed that, you know what? Eckler's our guy. We're going to give him the ball, and he's a good enough runner and a strong enough runner to handle the short yardage as well as everything else. So let's hope that he gets greater than 0 targets moving forward. Home, favored, fantasy carnival, great fantasy environment, 53-point total. Realistic possibility because it is the Cowboys that they score, both teams 60+ total points. Past performance is not indicative of future results, but like, I'm not saying that every Cowboys game is going to go over 65 total points, but all the rest of them have this year and 2020, as long as Dak is the starter. So give me Austin Eckler. Great floor, great ceiling with the targets and the touchdown expectation now. Obviously, I've got myself a nice double stack and bring back from the Fantasy Carnival game. I've got DK Metcalf. I like the way my lineup's shaping up, Jeff. Where are you going next?
Well, I mean, considering what your build is looking like, I don't know if you're going to try to correlate or anything, but just in case, I think I want to grab Herbert, because Herbert grades out really well for me, like surprisingly well. I'm pretty confident that in my rundown that I do every week, that he's going to be like my highlighted kind of optimal quarterback. Again, the game environment, all the things that you're on as well. It just makes too much sense here for Herbert who's going to be flying a little bit under the radar because he didn't have a good game last week, to just have a monster performance like he did all of last season. I mean, he was incredible last season. He threw a ball 47 times against Washington. Washington's a solid defense, but Dallas isn't that good. And Herbert, I think, you're looking at multiple touchdowns here, easy 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I love this game. I like either side in terms of the quarterback. Doesn't matter which stack that you go with. Big time points expectation in that single game. It's an absolutely ridiculous spot for basically everybody involved. Coming back to my team here, I'm not going to fill out my flex yet. I don't also have to take a quarterback. My quarterback will probably end up being my last player pick because you're not going to take another one. They don't let you. Only one is allowed. So I have my choice between whichever tight end that I want. Now, there's a lot of tight ends on this slate. You can pay up for Waller. You can go get Pitts if you think that the underlyings are going to outperform everything else. But they raised his price from 4,800 to 5,200 because of the amount of people that played him last week. Plus, he had 8 targets. He ran a ton of routes. He did not line up as an inline guy. He was not in there to block any time that he was on the field, which is good. But neither was Noah Fant.
Yes.
And he's still 4,200. Got 8 targets last week. Caught 6 of them. Now, Jerry Jeudy not there. Teddy Two Gloves may not be the best downfield thrower in the game, but he's really a lot, as you alluded to yourself, versus Drew Lock. He is much better at completing short to intermediate level passes. And that's where Noah Fant lives. And if you can get the ball in the hands of these playmakers like Noah Fant, like Cortland Sutton, like KJ Hamler, like if he can connect with KJ Hamler on a downfield ball, great. But like last year he missed Curtis Samuel a ton, but if they can get it in Hamler's hands and his speed, he can just bust one on a screen or on like a little drag route or a slant. Awesome. I think that Noah Fant's volume is now locked in because of the injury to Jerry Jeudy for the first half of the season. And again, this is a 5K plus profiled tight end, and he's 4,200 right now. There's another one. So like I can't block you at tight end this week. It's just not possible because there's a lot of value. But 4,200 for Noah Fant is entirely too cheap. So I'm taking Noah Fant.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I think for me, it comes down to exactly two guys. And yeah, I was of course eyeing Fant. That'll be the popular value this week, I believe. I guess the guy that I'm gonna take, I don't have to take yet. But yeah, let's see. So okay, let's go to the flex, and I'm gonna play 3 running backs.
Okay.
This is a tough call because it is it's very deep. There are a lot of different directions that you can go. Eckler, I think, is a solid pick. Like you said, like he's not going to be a guy that doesn't get any catches this season. I imagine even like Roundtree's usage was probably higher than it's going to be. I believe Eckler dealt with like a hamstring heading into the week. So, man, I'm trying to play around with salary here to see if I have the room. Let's try to
take your time. Just talk us through it.
Well, I'm trying to see if paying up for a guy like a Derrick Henry or a Kamara makes sense here, if there's the value at wide receiver to do that. And I mean, there are some guys that are more tournament plays rather than cash game plays, especially since you snagged one of the better ones that actually is going to be a solid cash game option potentially. So I'm probably going to do this. I'm going to go with what would seem like a risky play, but again, the most important thing in cash games, I think, is value. After that, you kind of go to guys with a high floor. But let's get the same angle that we've been pushing here with that game stack and get Zeke at a really big discount going up against the Chargers. 6,200. I mean, when is Zeke ever 6,200?
Never. The answer is never.
Yeah, and it's just I don't think he's washed. I know a lot of fantasy people, it's like popular to rag on Zeke and Tony Pollard. Like everyone wants to see Tony Pollard get more work, but I'm not ready to throw in the towel for Zeke. I still think that he can get the job done, and I think that that's the guy that they want to get the bulk of the carries. So if he can get going, it is a much better matchup. Like we shouldn't have expected him to have a good game against Tampa, really. No. So I think that pretty big upside here. Not your typical cash game play because it is a bit of a lower floor. There are some concerns, but there's a lot of value here.
It was the perfect international super spy spot for anybody who wants to buy Zeke in week 2 or beyond, because Tampa Bay extremely efficient at stopping opposing running backs, and they did play Zeke more of the snaps, right? He is still the primary guy, but they were using him to pass block in week 1 because that's how good the Buccaneers front 7 is, and they put a ton of pressure on your quarterback, and the best way to keep your quarterback moving the ball down the field is to keep his uniform clean, so you use your running back to block a lot more, and he's a lot better in pass pro than is Tony Pollard. He's still going to get the bulk, and if not, I would be shocked if Zeke is, by the end of the season, assuming health for everybody, obviously, is not one of the top 3 to 5 guys in terms of inside the 5 usage. Once again, just that's how they utilize him on this team. And he's going to get the majority of the snaps. Yes, Tony Pollard will be used more this year than in past years, but like, I think that fantasy Twitter tries too hard to be talent evaluators versus just identifying who is going to get the lion's share of the snaps, touches, targets inside the 5 carries. And right now, that's Zeke. Great game environment for him. I like the pick. Locks up your flex. You have a wide receiver and a tight end left. You could take a wide receiver. So I could block you here. But I think it's more important for me to go defense to get done what I want. I have a lineup in mind right now for me to finish off this with the quarterback, a running back, a flex play. But it kind of all revolves around the defense. Now, I can't pay up for defense, so I can't get one of these super stud defenses up in here that's got these tremendous pass rushes or any of those sorts of things. So I got to gamble a little bit, which is en vogue to do at defense. So give me the Jets. The fact that they can apply some pressure. They are squaring off against a rookie quarterback in his first road game. I believe they played at home last week, right? New England played at home last week. Or were they in Miami? I forget.
Man, I don't remember.
I don't either. I can look up Mac Jones. Look, a rookie quarterback on the road against a formidable front seven. Their cornerbacks are trash. We know that, right? It is what it is. But at 2,200, defense is not something that I like to spend up a lot of money on unless I'm trying to pay up to be contrarian. Or if I just have what I feel is the optimal lineup at my skill positions that just allows me to pay up for a better pass rush. Pass rush is what I want on defense. That gives me opportunities for sacks. I respect the hell out of Mac Jones as a rookie. He looks like he is going to be a very solid quarterback, good coaching staff. Doesn't have the best receivers in the world. They are going to be a run team. They could slow it down a little bit, but they are going to let the kid drop back and throw. He is sackable, and every rookie quarterback is going to have some bumps in the road. I'm hoping that this is one of the bumps for him.
Yeah, that makes sense. And even a rookie quarterback having a good game, or a pretty good game anyway. We saw last week at Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence threw 3 interceptions, got sacked. I mean, I think for these rookie quarterbacks, they're still going to make mistakes, even when they're playing well. So I like that strategy. Okay, so I guess I'm going to go with, I can't imagine that people are considering this guy in cash, but I almost feel like the matchup doesn't matter that much. But Cooper Kupp going up against Indy, people have a lot of respect for the Indy defense, and I get it, but Cooper Kupp is just a guy that I think is going to have a huge season because of improved quarterback play. Goff, I think is an okay quarterback. Matthew Stafford's a good, above average, a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, really.
On stats, he is, and people aren't going to believe that. They're going to freak out. But, go look at the stats that he's piled up the first half of his career. He's been ridiculous historically.
And so, I mean, I wasn't in the best ball streets like you are as much this season, just because I was distracted by NFTs and stuff. But I still listened to Buzz and stuff. I didn't hear many people really talk up Kupp that much because of the improved quarterback play, and that to me is surprising. Maybe I just missed it, but to be able to get Kupp at 6K, think back to last year or the year before where he was just dominant for a stretch of 8-9 weeks. That's why I expect his whole season to go like this season, and we got that in week 1, and I think it's going to continue week 2. I don't think matchups are going to matter for him. He's very good at getting open. I don't think anyone could really cover him when he's healthy. So 6K for Cooper Kupp, I would consider him in cash.
So Matthew Stafford had a really, really good debut last week with the Rams, right? Historically, one of the best debuts that any quarterback has ever had with a new team, right? Came in, threw for 300 yards, threw for 4 touchdowns. It's ridiculous. Absolutely outstanding debut. And I think the reason is when you come to a team and you finally have some talent at wide receiver, he's never played with anybody as good as Cooper Kupp on the outside.
Calvin Johnson, man. Come on. Get out of here.
Got him.
All right, you got me.
Cooper Kupp is awesome. Love Cooper Kupp. In fact, my little tip jar that's underneath you on the screen is named Cooper. So good correlation there. Went fishing, caught one, love it.
I'm going like, all right, Calvin, you got Kenny Galladay, but Calvin, I'll defend. I'll jump.
Oh,
I'll
Calvin's
jump
the
at you.
best. Like it's like him, Moss, Rice. Those are the three best receivers that I've ever witnessed play in my life. Those are the top three. Everybody else
tier.
is like trying to get into that king tier.
So I mean, some people would say Owens deserves to be
Owens
there.
is he's right there, but like I have him a tick below those guys.
I'm with you.
Like it took him a little bit longer to get moving than those three guys, right? And maybe because he was playing on the Niners with Jerry Rice at the time, but like, you know, it took him a few seasons to get to that level, but he sustained it for a long time. Marvin Harrison went to Syracuse, my alma mater, amazing writers. But like, I think that they're in that next, you know, they're still Hall of Famers. They're still amazing. I'm sure that somebody in the reply guys are going to be very mad at me. I can finish off my lineup now, right? You have a tight end. You have a tight end
and a defense. So
and a defense. My defense is locked up. I can take my flex here and finish off my lineup if you want me to go that route, or if you want to keep going 1-1-1, because you can't block me with a running back and you can't block me with a quarterback. And then I'll let you make your last three picks. So I'll give you a couple of minutes here to figure out where you want to go with the rest of the picks.
I'm good. I have mine set.
Perfect.
I know what I'm doing.
Perfect. I'm going to go with the flex first because I should. I'm going to take Julio Jones. I think he's still good. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Dust Twitter. But I think Julio Jones, albeit on the wrong side of 30, is still an extremely talented wide receiver who's going to garner some end zone targets here. Hopefully, Tennessee going up against Seattle will go back to their old ways of utilizing play action, even though Seattle has been a good team defensively in 2020 against play action passing. But like in week 1, Tannehill, one of the better play action passers in the league, they really only ran play action like 10% of the time, when historically the last 2 years that Tannehill's been the quarterback, they ran it 35% of the plays. And he is one of the better play action passers, and you have one of the best running backs sitting behind him. So why not make those linebackers hold a beat with the two outside weapons that you have? People are going to be wondering, Al, how come you went with Julio Jones over AJ Brown? Because for me to finish off this lineup in the best way that I can, I don't think that I can get there, because at quarterback, I'm taking the ringleader. I want the guy who's heading up the carnival. I want the Barker himself. Give me Dak Prescott at 6,800 in that ridiculous game there. And I'm going to take one of the guys from my 5-box running backs videos, one of the top running backs on the week, David Montgomery, at 6,100. Looked amazing against a really, really, really talented and solid Rams defense at every level. Now he gets to face off against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are nowhere near in the same class or tier as the Rams defense. At home, favored, getting all the inside the 5 work. I expect him to get more than one target on an in-out basis every week. 4 possible on an average, 4.5 average on the year is what I expect from David Montgomery in terms of targets. So 20 opportunities coming on a week-in, week-out basis. Looked extremely good in week 1. One of the best in the league the last couple of years at breaking tackles. That's how I'm going to finish off my lineup. Dak Prescott, Austin Eckler, David Montgomery, Ced Wilson, DK Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, Noah Fant, Julio Jones, and the Jets defense just kind of tie it all together and make it work. I'm going to kick it back over to you to finish off your lineup with a tight end and a defense.
Okay, yeah. So tight end for me, general strategy this season is going to be to spend up. So like last week in every single lineup I had, it was Kittle or Kelsey. It's, to me, the Pitts fade was easy, but I was wrong. I mean, he got plenty of opportunity to go off, and my bet was just on the kind of like the coaches maybe not being completely straight with us, and his the work that he was going to get maybe not as extreme as everyone expected, but I was so wrong. He's going to get a ton of work. But Kittle this week, I think, again, going up against the Eagles, this is going to be just like last season, another matchup that we're going to attack with tight ends. And then, I mean, Kittle doesn't need a good matchup anyway. And you've got Ayuk, who who knows what's really going on there?
What's your
Rumors
take?
of
You're a Niners fan.
I used to be. I'm a fan of whatever my money's on now.
Yep,
but,
same.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've heard a lot of different things, like that he missed curfew, that he actually hurt his hamstring. One was that he didn't play well enough in the preseason, which was also said about Sermon. As it's just that those are stupid. But I it's hard to imagine it would be injury if he's being used on special teams. Like if you're going to limit a guy because of his injury, first thing you're going to limit special teams. So I think it was some sort of disciplinary issue, and Shanahan just doesn't want to air it out.
Yeah, why air your dirty laundry in public? Keep that stuff in the clubhouse.
Yeah, and I imagine it would just be 1 week. But if not, Kittle gets a little boost there, right? Like, I mean, Debo got like 35-40% of the targets or something stupid.
Yeah, something unsustainable.
And it was, like he's just a super reliable guy to go to. And of course, the Niners were pretty run heavy. Felt like they were in control of the game for a long time and got a little bit out of hand. But a 6,400 for Kittle, that's going to be around what his price is. I think this year, it's not like you're going to get a discount on him or anything. But I just like securing that floor is part of it, but also the upside. It's just you don't have another position like this where the guys at the top end are going to project for twice as many points as the other guys, like the average guys. This week a little unique in that I think Fant is actually a really good value, and I probably will break my spend up at tight end rule to play a little bit of Fant. But George Kittle, I absolutely love, and there is no Kelsey on this slate. So I'm going with him, and then I've got the Vikings defense, which nobody's going to really want to use against the Arizona Cardinals. But the Vikings defense, by many accounts, this season are overall top 5, at least top 10 defense. Don't forget they added Peterson, who is playing in a revenge game, which is not why I'm taking the Vikings here, but he does know Nuke pretty well. I don't know if he's going to be matched up on Nuke, but by the way, did you see him get destroyed by Jamar Chase?
Yes. I think I don't know if I did quote tweet that.
Oh, did you?
I quote tweeted. I was like, talent always rises. Like talent finds a way. All the rumors he is currently the Mark Twain. All the rumors of Jamar Chase's demise were greatly exaggerated. The kid's a stud.
I talked about that on my show. That I think a lot of people missed the comment about the ball and the stripes and everything, because he responded to that. I don't know how many people saw that, and he's like, they just asked me what the difference was between the balls, and I told them. He wasn't saying that he couldn't see because of they didn't have the white stripes. That's his story anyway. But yeah, I never really bought into that whole thing. But yeah, so anyway, I think that the Vikings defense is obviously very good, and last week got 5 sacks. Despite, like, it's not like they shut down Cincinnati. Cincinnati put up points, but still got 5 sacks. I think they're gonna get pressure.
That's the most important thing on defense. You have to get defenses that are going to apply pressure. And Arizona does not have the best offensive line. They do have a quarterback who could scoot a little bit. Like, we watched him just go ridiculous against the Titans last week, where he rolled to the right, got in trouble, rolled to the right, said, no, I'm going to run all the way back to the left, and then got the defensive line. He hit the brakes. The defensive lineman falls down 3 yards back, and then he steps back and throws a strike to Nook. Like, you gotta rage quit at that point. Like, that's a opponent has left the game and returned to the lobby sort of moment at the NFL level. But yeah, he's been susceptible to fumbling, Kyler. He's been susceptible to throwing interceptions, and that offensive line allows a lot of pressure on him. So good floor for 2,100. Another solid, cheap defense. Going with Herbert, Harris. I didn't notice that until right now. Keenan Allen, KJ Hamler, Cooper Kupp, George Kittle, Ezekiel Elliott, and the Vikings. I think it's going to be a great match. Let me know in the comments down below who you think is going to take this one down. The YouTube comments always think that it's like, oh, it's not even going to be close. It's usually pretty close, guys. So $500 on the line, going to one of those 2 charities if you want the link so you can take part and donate as well. They'll be right down below in the description. Go give Jeff a follow on Twitter if you want. And definitely go check out all of his great stuff over at numberball.com. Jeff, thank you for being here.
It was fun, man. Appreciate it.
Good times, and we will catch up to you later. Look out for 2 more videos right there and right over there.
He's a legend.